Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is Paddock Live. Joining me, as always, is my good friend, co-host, colleague, Mr. Joe Smith.
Yes, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right.
I'm very excited.
I'm feeling a little bit of excitement because, as you may have seen from the thumbnail, a bid's gone in. It looks like there's something a bit more official happening on the old Frenkie De Jong saga, because it's becoming a bit of a saga. So we'll be getting into that. We'll also be talking about a bit of a tug of war between us and the Scousers.
There's been honestly so much going on today. So much.
I know.
So much. Fullbacks, centre-backs, midfielders, strikers, every position except goalkeeper, we've got updates.
We have got updates. We've got a Marcus Rashford update. We've got a Bastoni update.
Yeah.
We've got an update over Nkunku as well. It's all popping off.
It's literally kicking off.
It literally is. And we need you to get involved in the comments and let us know what you think about any of it. And keep us informed as well. If you've seen Frenkie De Jong around your local Sainsbury's, and you live in England or Manchester, Reddish, give us a shout and let us know. Memphis Daniel says, I want some of what this guy's on. My own life. Or whoever you're talking about, either of us. Right. Should we get into it? Let's talk about Darwin Nunez first, then we'll get into the De Jong update. This was the sort
Teasing me here.
Sorry?
Teasing me here.
I know, well, I just want to get into this quickly and then we'll move on.
Because this has been going on all day, this
is why I want to sort of talk about it now rather than postponing it. This is obviously, as you can see there, via Fabrizio Romano, official proposal from Liverpool for Darwin Nunez. Looks like it's going to be about €80 million plus add-ons, bumping it up to €100 million. This was a guy who had been linked with United. I always thought that it was questionable how concrete that sort of interest was because there'd been no negotiations, there'd been no bid. He was just on a list. Now it looks like Liverpool are moving forward with it. What do you make of this? Do you think that the fact that they're going for it and the fact that we're sort of distracted with De Jong, do you feel like the ball is in their court?
I think the ball is in their court for a number of reasons. One, if we sign Nunez, he's probably thinking, I know Ronaldo's 37, 38, but he's still Cristiano Ronaldo. I might not even start this season. If you play for Liverpool, let's be honest, you're more likely to win some trophies short term. I don't think anyone can really argue with that,
Have you never heard of two words? Eric Ten Hag.
No, I haven't actually. What's he do? What's he done? Won some trophies at Man United. And they need a striker more desperately than us. They've got Firmino who doesn't play anymore because he's injured.
They need more than a striker.
Nice. What else do they need?
I don't know. A midfielder and that.
All the stuff and that. But I just think this one makes more sense. There was Rob Dawson as well in ESPN who's since come out and said United are still in for Nunez. They think they can go head-to-head with Liverpool. And multiple people are saying this thing of United won't be drawn into a tug of war, or neither of them expect a sort of a bidding war for this. Which, if there's two teams who both want him, presumably a bidding war may well happen, although maybe the club will accept a fee and then it's up to him to pick the club after that, if United are willing to match Liverpool's bid. I just think that it makes more sense for Liverpool to sign him. He's too much money from our sort of transfer, war chest, whatever you want to call it, the budget for the summer. 80 million or 85 million going up to 100 million euros is too much. We don't need a striker that much. We need a striker, but I'd rather have someone that was maybe more certain to be a backup to Ronaldo, and then next summer we sign the big one, because we need a central midfielder more than we need a striker. I think we need fullbacks more than we need a striker. And we might well need a centre-back more than we need a striker as well. So let's get one in. We definitely need someone. But spending 80 million quid or 85 million quid on Darwin Nunez is just too much for me. Not only is that fee not worth it regardless of who it was for, I don't think he's proven enough in his career to be worth that kind of money. That's strange money for someone who's had basically one good season or one great season. So much money that.
There's there's a lot I agree with there, what you're saying. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just thinking, when's the last time, and my memory's shocking, so you can explain it to me or remind me, when's the last time us and Liverpool both went in for the same player?
There's rumours that we were after Fabinho.
But really?
But
I always thought Jose,
was
that not around the time we got Matic and Jose preferred him, or I remember there was a bit of a sort of thing going on, especially in the MEN about, is it going to be Fabinho or Matic? I might be getting my dates wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe, you might have a point there. There's not very often anyway,
no,
is it? It's not very often that us and Liverpool both go. It's happened more with us and City.
It happens with us and City. It seems to reportedly happen with us and Chelsea all the time as well.
But with us and Liverpool, rarely have we both gone for the same player. This looks like it could be one of those occasions. Although, if we've got 120, 130 million quid, we're not getting him.
No.
We're just not.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
Even if Liverpool weren't in for him, I think 100 million euros is too much. When the reports sort of over the last 10 days were in the sort of 60 million euros ballpark, that makes a bit more sense to me. You're looking at an up-and-coming striker, you know, plenty of years left on the clock. He's young enough that you could have a decent contract, you know, put him on a 6-year deal, have a decent 2 or 3 years, and still make most of your money back if it was 60 million. But he has to be really good to be worth 100 million euros for me, and I just don't think United have got that kind of money spare. Get
involved in the comments. I'm going to get in some of your comments. Hit that like button as well. Give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Dominica, Navita, welcome to the first team. Thanks for your support on the membership. We've got some more members content coming up later this week, so make sure you're checking that out. Also, go and check out the merch because you get a discount if you're a member. Go and check it out if you're not a member. Anyway, some good merch up there. Let's just have Abhinav Verma says Fabinho came 2018, Matic 2017. So yeah, I think once we got Matic, that might have been that one out of the water. But there was rumours, weren't there, that we were. There's a few people throwing a bit of shade here at old Darwin. I've missed it. Forgive me if I missed who the person was, but someone said he's the Uruguayan Andy Carroll.
That is just because he's got long hair.
Right. Someone else questioning his touch as well. Someone else said his first touch is terrible.
Yeah,
again,
the
chat's. Sorry, scroll down, so forgive me, I can't see. Adrian Wooster says Uruguayan Lukaku. Ross McPherson, is the one that said the Uruguayan Andy Carroll. Marco Ramos says 85 million. He's mad.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that Lukaku is used as an insult now? Like, he is, over the last sort of 5 or so years, one of the strikers that scored the most goals in Europe. Like, he's up there. And yet, Lukaku is a byword for failure. That's insane, really, isn't it? He scored loads of goals for West Brom, loads for Everton, a decent return for United, although, you know, he wasn't successful at United. Bags of goals for Inter. He's basically had 2 bad years in the last 6 years, and he might as well be fucking, well, Andy Carroll. It's mad, isn't it?
I think with Lukaku, he's a good example of scratching beneath the surface on the numbers.
Yeah.
I think you have to do that. You can't just sort of... It's a very base argument with Lukaku. You're right, because he is used as a sort of an example of, he's failed. I mean, his time at Chelsea has been just abysmal.
Yeah, that's
true. There's no sugarcoating that. It has been awful. There were glimpses at United, weren't there? But I think when you look at his record at United, 42 goals in 96 games, looks great on paper. But 1 goal against, I think, the top 6.
Yeah.
10 game spells where you get 1 goal in 10 or whatever, and then you'll get sort of 7 in 8 or whatever against lower opposition. Yeah. It's that sort of thing of, is he a big game player? Is he someone you can rely on? And also the eye test that people like to go on about when you watched him and when he was bad. He was very bad. This guy gets a lot of stick for how he plays. The fact that he isn't probably as aesthetically pleasing as other players.
Well, people like tricky, good touch, skillful players. They make a better montage than a big sort of, I won't say lumbering, but, he's not going to have the touch that Sergio Aguero's got, for instance, because he isn't that sort of player. It doesn't quite make for the same level of YouTube goal skills, first touch highlight montages. That doesn't mean that he's shit.
It's like with Anthony Martial. You could watch Anthony Martial's highlights.
Unbelievable.
He's so skillful. He's got that sort of low centre of gravity. Yeah. Goes past players, quick, skillful. Good finisher. When he was on form, his finishing was sublime. But if you look at the numbers, this is a kid who scored 5 goals in 2 seasons. In the league or whatever. It's not great.
No.
Now, Lukaku or Nunez might be worse to watch. I know Lukaku's obviously had a stinking season.
Yeah.
Nunez might be worse to watch, but they score more goals.
Yeah.
And it's like, what matters more to you? You know?
And unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say this, whilst I don't think he's right for United, and I wouldn't want him even if Liverpool weren't in for him for this money, I think he might be right for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because the amount of crosses they put in the box, they had people like Jota, Mane, Salah scoring like 5 or 10 headers a season.
Jota was getting his head on.
You put an absolute head on a stick in the box like this, he'll get you 10 headers next season without any problem whatsoever. He starts on 10 headers, and then you can add in penalties, maybe normal finishes, all the rest of it. They put the ball in the box aerially so much that he might be perfect for them.
Nunez at United then will be like giving me a comb.
Yeah.
What is the point in that? Because how often do we cross it into the box?
Currently never.
Never. The occasional corner that Ronaldo gets his head on. But it's not what our game's about, is it?
No.
If we are going to buy someone that benefits off crosses, then we need to buy some fullbacks probably, like you were saying.
someone to cross it to.
Because, we all like DeLone, we like, to a lesser degree, Shaw and Tellers. Do they put loads of crosses in?
Not really.
Quality crosses? Tellers from a dead ball sometimes. But it's not our forte, is it? You look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, and even Andy Robertson can stick a ball in the box. Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Would you call a vasectomy doctor a dead ball specialist?
I like that. Yes, dead ball specialist.
Use that one at the next Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Would you have a vasectomy?
Yeah, I would actually.
Would you?
Yeah. One of them ones that you can undo though if I'm desperate.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing, you can do all that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good idea that.
It's been discussed.
Would you have it?
I don't know. It's been discussed. I think we're not having any more children. I just don't know about that. You can have them like on your lunch hour now, can't you?
What, kids?
Well, you can have that and also vasectomies.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Why don't you just have a little bucket at the side of the bed that you just sort of...
What? What's a filth? We have a better way, and that's just not having sex. Anyway, right.
What's next? Here we go. This is it. The big one, Jay. Hit me with it. Say
This
those
is
three
the one
words, mate.
we've all been waiting for. Frenkie De
Is that a word? Not sure.
Jong.
Yes, mate.
Yes. United bid €60 million plus 20 million for Frenkie De Jong via even Marca.
Yeah.
Barcelona are seriously studying.
I imagine what they called magnifying glasses. I imagine like that. Everyone's around this. There's a little contract that they've faxed off like that.
Come and have a look at this. Hey. You know when you go to the doctor's?
What's the DPI on that printing?
You go to the doctor's
No.
and you've got a lump and the doctor calls in the other doctors to come and have a look at it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Oh
innit?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, come and have a look at this
They got that.
offer, this
Fucking
bid.
hell. Should it smell like that?
I've seen one of them before. It's going to be like that, innit?
Yeah.
Piling round. Let's have a
Seriously
study.
studying
Seriously
this
studying.
motherfucking-
Come on.
Yeah.
What can we say about this? I mean,
Fingerprint scans.
you know what? Do we not know? Do we not know what Barca are going to accept? Is there not a sort of thing where you go, this is what it's going to take?
I think
I'm sure they must have like a little word with each other and go, yeah.
they must have a little word, but at the same time, there probably is still that little back and forth. So here's what's been said today. United has made a move in the offices. This is a translate job, so this is coming from Spanish media to English. Has made an offer of 60 million fixed plus another 20 in variables, amounts that are close to the claims, basically needs and wants of Barcelona, which is seriously being studied. Barca need to sell. Marca again go on to say, Barca, they know that they can take advantage of a footballer who cost them 75 million. If he is sold for that amount, the 40 million annual salary of the footballer will be taken away, and they would profit around 50 million on the balance sheet, which would considerably reduce the losses that have been generated this season. So they generated more losses this season. Let's just sort of go through this kind of story a little bit and get to where we are now. So on the 11th of May, Gerard Romero, who is a reliable journalist talking about Barcelona, said there's a 95% chance that De Jong joins Manchester United. Barca need to sell for financial reasons, and the operation would be close to 70 or 80 million euros, obviously 60 plus 20.
77.
Close, 80.
Right.
Is obviously within that range. Then on the 14th of May...
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Go on.
No, it is.
Yeah.
And on the 14th of May, Xavi said about their debt, he's important with me. He has always been a starter, but it all depends on the economic situation, which we reported obviously on here a few weeks ago. Give me a bit of a scroll down on that. However, De Jong spoke of his want to remain at Barcelona. So this has been the thing the whole time, hasn't it? Does he want to leave? Does he want to join Man United?
One of our favourite presenters in La Liga, Semra Hunter, said the similar thing about the sort of situation there. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of, this is what we keep hearing, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of, that has been the narrative. It's never really shifted. It's the fact that, okay, he'd rather stay, but whilst they like him, they're not adamant about keeping him, and they need some dough.
Well, also, they need some Lewandowski.
That's
That's what they
in their
want.
life, they do.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they want.
And he's making noises, isn't he? About
he's
treating.
about as disrespectful as I've ever seen a footballer be.
Is he entering Cristiano Ronaldo 2009 I'm a slave tackle?
Not quite. But he's basically saying, I need to leave Bayern. I hate it here. The relationship is fucked.
Because he was saying,
I've got to go.
He was saying like, oh, you know, what other players thinking if you're going to sign for Bayern? If this is how they treat her. He's like, really? Wow, this is massively gone sour, hasn't it?
I know. It's ridiculous. So he wants to leave. Barcelona want to sign him. He wants to join Barcelona. And to get him, they basically need to offload some players. And there's been a lot of reports over the last week or two that De Jong is the best they have in terms of sellability and replaceability. Like, they've got Gavi, they've got Busquets, they've got other midfielders in there that can sort of mix and match the role that De Jong does. And he's the only one really that they're willing to sell that is also worth 60+ million.
It must be tough at the minute.
Just unfortunately the right combination of factors.
Watching Real Madrid and what they're doing, they've just won the Champions League and La Liga, and they've gone out already and they've started doing business. And who they brought in? They brought in Tchouaméni, sorry. They've already got a very strong team. They've just won a lot.
Yeah.
And you're in a position as Barcelona where you have to sell to buy.
And apparently Real Madrid have got like £350 million budget this summer because they've not really bought anyone for the last 3 transfer windows. They've got just tons of money.
I'm just going to get a couple of super chats and go back to you. Sam J says, user smashing it recently. UTFP, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate that. Normally I take offence at recently. What do you mean? We always smash it. But we do notice there has been, a lot more support for us, and we have been sort of trying to get more videos out, keep you updated as often as possible, because it was all popping off this summer, and we're aware of that. And we don't just want to churn out news stories. We're trying to be a bit more analytical, having a look at tactics, having a look at the stories behind the story. That's what we're about. So we do appreciate your support. WO15970. It's funny, that's what my second child's called.
Buying you Elon Musk.
Yes. Buying you boys beer till the impending recession and the widespread inflation. Let's meet. Thank you. I appreciate it. Times are hard. So we do appreciate all that. Christopher Singh says, why would he swap tapas for Macari's or Crazy Pedro? Listen.
How dare you? Have you ever been to Bar San Juan in Chiltern?
Yes.
There's great tapas.
Have a word
in
with
Manchester.
Have a word with yourself. Are you getting
Do
the
they
sort
have
of
this and that in Barcelona?
Are you getting the sort of sense that this is inevitable? Are you there yet?
I mean, Marca, they are Spanish-based. They are somewhat reliable. They're not complete, dross by any means. But we're still to see the real sort of elite of the elite confirm this. The thing that makes me believe it is that guy Gerard Romero, where this all started, is very reliable.
On Barca.
For Barcelona, he is considered tier 1, which, for anyone who doesn't know, basically is as reliable as it gets, except the club tweeting it themselves. That's why I think that the seed to this story is genuine. So yes, there might be some shoots that you have to clip off and cast them aside as nonsense, but there is something growing here, and I think they have to get rid of him. And I keep coming back to this. They couldn't keep Lionel Messi. They couldn't keep a man who is bigger than Barcelona. He is the reason that Barcelona are the club they are today. I know they've got a great history in Rivaldo and Cruyff and all that. They're obviously huge, but the modern version of Barcelona, the greatest team of all time, this multi-billion-dollar-a-year company is Lionel Messi, and he is no longer at that club. If he can go, anyone can go.
They've had this before on Barca. They've had these little stages where they've had a little bit of a lull.
Yeah.
Because you remember,
they do some mad shit.
92, obviously won the first European Cup, I think.
Yeah.
Then you look at 94, they got spanked 4-0 in the final by Milan. I know there was a 3-4 in a rule. Then they had that spell where, didn't Figo go from Barca to Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Yeah, where, their hero goes to their...
He won the Ballon d'Or for Barca and then went to Real Madrid.
Yeah, goes to their arch rivals. And you think, wow, what's happening there? So they have had these little slight lulls, when the Rijkaard era went south.
Yeah, and then they sold Eto'o to Inter Milan, and they gave him 60 million quid for Ibrahimovic, who was basically immediately sidelined by Guardiola. They do mad things.
Yeah.
And Eto'o then wins the treble at Inter Milan. They just gave him away. He wasn't one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, they are a club that doesn't necessarily take themselves too seriously. They do mad stuff, don't they?
And I don't want to be... This isn't the criticism of Spanish football, just from the outside looking in. It does seem like anything is possible in Spain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This time last year, when all the Super League stuff was popping off,
Yeah.
and it looked like Real Madrid were in the doghouse, Barca were in the doghouse, billions of pounds worth of debt. They need this Super League, otherwise they could implode completely.
Yeah.
Real Madrid win the Champions League for the 14th time.
And all of a sudden have got more money than everyone in the world.
And one of the best squads in the world.
Yeah.
that they're constantly improving now with all this money. And Barcelona, who, had all this drama and you think they could end up falling off a cliff. Xavi comes in, and all right, they're not at the levels that Real Madrid are, but there's a bit of positivity there where you go, actually, things aren't as bad as they seemed. Yes, they've still got to sort out the finances, but this isn't quite the end of Spanish football that people were predicting. No. Even going into that final, people were dismissing Real Madrid and going, oh, this is the Scousers to win this. Because Real Madrid are rubbish. They just fluked it. Yeah. And it's like, well, they haven't, have they? They've got there because they've got absolute world-class players all over the pitch. Yeah. I'm going to get in some of the super chats. Sorry, go on. No, go on.
You go first.
W015970 says, that's a username and I can't change it. Also, Joe and Steve's breakdown of Erik ten Hag's tactics at Ajax was top-notch.
Thank you very much. Well, we're going to be doing more of those.
To him, not me.
We're going to be doing more of those sort of tactical breakdowns, getting the screenshots, looking at the tactics like in play rather than just theoretically.
Firaz Karuba says, great content, lads. Keep it going. Peace and love from Palestine. Lots of love to you as well. Thank you for your support. Matt Novicic, who's been a member for 5 months of the Academy, says, I enjoy the lack of leaks coming from United, trying to keep an open mind. They are working on things, getting used to the new regime.
Do you know why there's no leaks coming from them? Because they're all still on fucking holiday. That's why.
Do you reckon it is?
Yeah, they're not there. Whoever the leak are, they're not training. They're all off. Unless it's the groundsman or like someone who's serving tea. Yeah. That's why there's no leaks at the minute.
Bet L30887 says, Bet Barca will replace Frenkie with Neves, using Trincao to reduce price, use rest of money to strengthen. There could be some...
Probably.
Some stuff going down there.
And I've said this before, but just on the whole De Jong doesn't want to join United thing, or, De Jong would rather stay at Barcelona. Not every player that plays for Manchester United has been desperate to play for us since they were 6. Some of United's greatest ever players maybe weren't United fans growing up. Cristiano Ronaldo, for one. We know he wanted to play for Real Madrid, but he was still one of our best players of the modern era. Wayne Rooney was an Everton fan growing up. We bought him from Everton. He is now our top ever goal scorer. I don't think Edwin van der Sar was a United fan growing up. You don't have to be a United fan and only want to play for United to put the effort in to try your hardest
Eric
to still be good.
Was determined to play for United when he left France. And Eric Cantona is one of my heroes. I love the man. He can do no wrong.
He was a Newcastle fan growing up.
It's just like, it wasn't about Eric was desperate to get to United. It was once he got here, he was happy.
And the expectation shouldn't be you only try hard if you are a United fan. No. The expectation should be, regardless of who you support, you try your fucking hardest. And that goes for every club in the world. Like, most players playing for most teams didn't support that team growing up. They still should try their hardest. They still shouldn't turn at the slightest bit of weakness. Just because we've been burned by the likes of Di Maria and Lukaku doesn't mean that everyone who didn't grow up with a United poster on the wall should just be shit. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. If he's a good player and he knows the manager, we should still be able to get 100% out of him, regardless of who he supported as a kid.
Yeah, Ollie Aston says Keane was a Spurs fan. You can't get more determined or more effort than Roy Keane. It doesn't, like you say. The fact is, look at City. Other than Foden, they've not.
None of them were.
No. Do you think Sergio Aguero grew up with pictures of Ian Brightwell on his wall? Did he?
Actually, no, he did. That's a bad example.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, there's pictures of him.
I thought it was David Brightwell who he had on his wall.
No,
I thought he preferred the lesser of the two Brightwell brothers.
You never seen the Jesus Dickov shrine in his house back in Brazil? Gabriel Jesus has got a full Paul Dickov wall in his house.
That is true.
But other than that, they weren't City fans.
Yeah, no, they were. That is all true. We've got a video, haven't we?
Yes.
Our mate Adam McCullough has been on Last Fan Standing for BetVictor, talking to other fans about some kid called Paul Labille, something, I don't know, I forget. Should we have a look?
Yeah.
Let's remind ourselves. Let's check out this vid.
I think whoever gets Pogba, they get in. Look, he's made some mistakes at Manchester United, but Manchester United also made a lot of mistakes in how we've handled him and handled a lot of signings and a lot of players. And I think you're going to see a Paul Pogba, and everyone's going to go, "Why wasn't he doing that at Man United?" Like, the facts are, over the years, there were some periods of time where he was a glorious football player. He was in PFA Team of the Year at one point. When he helped us win a couple of trophies, he was on fire. For periods under Solskjaer, he was great. He's had injury issues, which is one of the reasons why I didn't select him as value. And also his wages and signing on fee is going to be high. But you're going to get a motivated Paul Pogba. And you're going to get a Pogba that wants to do something between now and the end of his career. And I think, whilst I kind of agree with George that He's not that guy to lift the dressing room and drag them all on his back like a Roy Keane. He's also a guy that if he joins a settled dressing room, if he joins a dressing room where the coach is settled and the coach wants him and all that, and the team's play, like we gave him McTominay and Fred for most of it. Like, that's an awful midfield. Like, you already had George talking about Kante and all that. If he goes to another club, I think they get a Paul Pogba that's motivated and potentially goes on to win a few things. So I think he could be a valuable signing. I'm not one of those that goes, Pogba's completely to blame for what went on at Man United. I think he has to take some responsibility. But I do think United made some mistakes along the way as well, and we'll see that in the next couple of years.
So that was Adam McCullough for Last Man Standing with BetVictor. Now, I don't know what Mackie thinks he's doing, being all balanced about Paul Pogba. You're not allowed to do that, Adam. What's the matter with you, son?
He's loved Paul Pogba for a long time.
Yeah, you're either he's the greatest player in the history of association football or he's United's worst signings. You can't say he got some things wrong, United got some things wrong, he's a very good player who may do well elsewhere, which is, a pretty reasonable and balanced analysis of it all. You've been pretty balanced on Paul Pogba. You obviously, more or less, stormed onto this channel by talking about Paul Pogba in your fan cam, made a very good point that he is one of the best players we've got at the time. What have you made of this now? I know there's an element of you glad it's sort of, we can move on from it, but what have you made of it? Do you think Mac is making a good point?
I think he's making a good point, and I agree that people don't or struggle to find a way to be balanced on Pogba. The point that I'm left with after all this, because in my head, Paul Pogba's gone now. I don't care where he goes. I don't really care to talk about him in the sense of him being a Manchester United player. Obviously, I reflect on it, I'm happy to talk about ex-players. But this whole, where's Paul Pogba going? I don't care. We'll find out one day, and that will be it. The thing that is the lasting thing for me, and, if you haven't checked it out, check out the video me and Alex did looking at the United's contracts over the last few years, is just how badly we handled his exit. Even if you look at it from a selfish perspective, where you want more money from a player or you want a player to be more settled at the club, he asked Ollie for a contract. And the club dawdled for a year to the point where he was like, fuck you lot. Yeah. When he was playing well, he was in the team every week, he was the best, arguably the best he'd been at United. He said to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I want a contract. And we went, just park that for a year. Then when we do finally offer him one, he doesn't want it. Yeah. Then when we know that he's not going to sign it last summer, we basically play him anyway, keep him anyway, when we probably could have got 30 million for him. Yeah. Like we were talking before off air, weren't we, how 12 months ago, we probably could have got 50 million quid-ish for Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard. Two players that have made no beneficial difference to Manchester United this season whatsoever. And in the end, we finished the season in 6th place and we lose both of them for free. What is that? That's my lasting problem with Man United and Paul Pogba is we just either could have got more out of him or sold him sooner. The fact that we've lost him on a free again is just an absolute
Do you know what the annoying thing for me about all that is? I agree with everything you've said, everything. Is the amount of, we knew this when we got him. We got Paul Pogba around 2009, 2010 from Le Havre, right? They were fuming. They brought this kid through as a youngster, as a child. United come in, we get him, right? So we take him to Old Trafford. He leaves us, he goes to Juve. So we know he's not a Mad United fan who's desperate to stay at the club. No. He's already sort of shown that because he's gone, you know what, it's not for me. I'm going to leave Manchester United. I'm going to leave Manchester United when Fergie's there. I'm going to go to Juve. And that's fair enough. You know what, you can argue about that. That's a different debate. But he does that. We buy him back for 89 million knowing all this. Yeah. Yet we let his contract run down. We never have a plan where we go, actually, this kid, who's already left us once, might end up just not wanting to stay. He might want to leave. If that happens, what are we going to do? Yeah. Are we going to sell him in his last 2 years of his contract, last year of his contract, get some money for him? Oh, no, we'll just do nothing. Yeah, no. We'll just wait. And we'll just, we'll offer him a contract and then not offer him an improved one. And then the only thing they triggered was the extension, wasn't it? Yeah, we're not going to offer him. Extra. Yeah, so we're going to do nothing. It's neither here nor there. Yeah. So you've got a slightly disgruntled player who, for me, Paul Pogba is one of those players as well who needs a bit of TLC. Yeah. Probably needs an arm around him. And then needs a bit of I love you, Paul, sort of stuff. We don't do that. Yes, I think we could have had better performances at times as well. But regardless of that, what is the plan with him? No. None. Do you know what I mean? And then he goes for free, and like you said as well, we were talking about it, Jesse Lingard, another player who Newcastle in January were willing to give us some money for him. Yeah. Yet we don't take the advantage of that. And what's he done from January to time of leaving?
Sat on the
Done nothing. And I like Jesse, but he's not done anything last 4 months.
No.
So it's just been a complete farce. And I think that, the sort of the weird thing for me with Pogba is, and he's someone I've admired since 2010 when he was in that academy team, is I just feel a little bit sort of, not relieved, just not that fussed about it all now. I just want to move on with my life. And he's a player that, like I said, I admired and does certain things at times where you go, wow, that's only Paul Pogba could do that. And now I just think like it's time to move on, and it's weird to feel like that about such a talented player, especially in this United team, which is so mediocre. Jesse Gentry's been a member of the first team 4 months, and I love messages like this. Says, glad to be back in the membership after the pandemic hit me hard. Thanks for the content, boys. Kept me going up the paddock. Much appreciate that. I know it's been a real tough time for a lot of people, and hopefully we're getting sort of back to normal, if that's the right word. Happy in the super chat says, does it bother you the lack of urgency in the transfer market, and should we worry about it? Much respect, lads, up the paddock.
It's hard. I mean, I think obviously we've known Ten Hag's going to be the manager for a while now, but the transfer window isn't even open yet. Do you know what I mean? So I think it would be somewhat unfair to label to point a lack of urgency when the window hasn't opened. Do you know what I mean? Like, most teams haven't signed anyone yet. If in 6 weeks' time we're still saying this, if it's toward the end of July and we still haven't signed anyone, then I will completely agree with you. But they're not back from pre-season yet. A lot of players are still on the breaks. The transfer window hasn't opened. I think we can give them a little bit more time before we get too pissed off at the lack of urgency. Seems to me United are interested in scouting and looking at lots of players. We just hopefully don't take the piss, dragging it out all summer.
Chewbag Jack says, I agree with that. Chewbag Jack says, I'd love to get Tielemans in. I don't feel like he's had a very good season, Tielemans. Tielemans. Forgive me if I'm getting this wrong. I haven't seen a lot of Leicester. When I've seen him, he wasn't in the team at one point. I think he's been a bit patchy, maybe. Am I getting that completely wrong? Get involved in the chat. Samuel Jones says, keen for the Australia trip. Can't wait. Cannot wait, honestly. Hit that like button as well. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Over 2,500 of you watching. Hit the like button. Jimmy F says, who's been a member of the academy for 70 months, is it true Joe Smith is bringing out a grime mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right, okay. And also...
48-track album.
Yeah? Can't wait. That's 48 tracks of pure gold. W015970, again in the super chat. Thanks for your support today. Buy a keg, up the paddock. Yeah, big super chat there as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Heaven Soul says, Tielemans packed in all effort at Everton, but now wants to go somewhere big. We don't need that kind of clown behaviour. Was it against Everton?
Oh, against Everton?
I don't know. He said it all at Everton. I don't know. Memphis Daniel says, I wanted Tielemans when Foxy signed him. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Shall we move on anyway?
Yeah.
Alessandro Bastoni.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that one right?
You are, actually, yeah.
I mean, it's a relatively easy one, isn't it, to be fair.
Straightforward.
United reportedly inquired about Bastoni's availability. I mean, there's a meaningless sentence if ever I've heard one. Reportedly inquired about his availability. Well, you may as well get Bastoni on the back of your shirt because that's done in it. With the 23-year-old centre-back valued at around €50 million. Joseph, tell me about him.
He looks to be a very promising young player. I think, considered by many to be one of the most promising young centre-backs in Europe. I haven't seen tons of him. I've read a lot about, people's opinions of him. He seems to be, I think he's a left-footed centre-back who's very good at bringing the ball forward, very good on the ball.
That magic word, left-footed.
Excellent in a three-at-the-back formation, I believe. And he's someone that I think, looking at the way Ten Hag plays, it's a 4 at the back on paper, but often in possession. Again, watch that video with Steve and I if you haven't already. In possession, there's often 3 at the back with a sort of a 2 in front of them, formulated by one of those fullbacks, dropping in. So it plays like a 3 at the back at times. This is where someone like him may come in and be good. The only problem is, I think his agent today has said Bastoni will stay at Inter for sure. He has a contract and he's happy at Inter. There's no problem. Now, if you're the Daily Mail author that wrote that article saying that we want him and he's valued at €50 million, and then his agent comes out and says he ain't going anywhere, how would you feel?
You could just do what like the Lookers do, and just do a completely opposite article of what you just said, and they'll just pretend like you never said it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Who did he say we were signing the other day? He's been like dead in that we're going to be signing.
He does it all the time. I can't remember. He did one where it was, we're definitely signing him, we're not signing him. It's obvious we're not. and then he just ignores it and carries on. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is the guy that said Ed Woodward left United in a better place than he found it. DC Bissell, who's been a member of the first team for 11 months, says, question for Joe. Do you think De Jong or Bastoni are 9 out of 10 players?
I think on his day, De Jong is, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Bastoni.
Ross Murphy says, Jay going all Italian there, laughing emoji.
Yeah. Can we move on to the next story? Because this is weird.
Yeah.
Wesley Fofana.
Okay.
Leicester's very own.
Right.
Mediocre centre-back.
Is he mediocre? I mean...
Look at that fee!
Right.
That is, who's saying that?
Well, this is RMC Sports, right?
Honestly.
This is a bit of a strange one. So, United consider Fofana transfer. Fofana is under contract until 2027. It would take a significant offer to prize him from Leicester, rumoured to be around 80 million euros. Now, this is a bit strange, isn't it? Because
absolute rubbish.
Because there's a whole multitude of reasons why I'm sceptical of this one.
Yeah, a plethora of reasons.
For starters, there's the player's ability.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Is he better than what we've got?
No.
No. Then there's the price. 80 million euros, which is about 70 odd million quid. Yeah, I didn't need that in the notes. Thank you.
A thing just popped on screen saying Maguire all over.
Oh yeah, because I forgot that we bought Harry Maguire from Leicester.
That was from Leicester. Yeah, that was for a similar fee, Jay.
Thanks for that, producer Ethan. I mean, really, can you imagine if Eric Ten Hag's first move was to go and buy a centre half from Leicester for 80 million quid?
Honestly, how to put yourself on the back foot with United fans is let's do Maguire again. With a player that I would say is worse than Maguire. Like, how is that? He's under contract. He's got so many years left on his contract, Jay. He's got an Alan Pardew-esque contract. He's still got 5 years on it. Do you remember Pardew signed an 8-year contract with Newcastle? The best thing ever.
Ten Hag came in, and his first 2 moves was to buy an £80 million defender from Leicester and re-sign Paul Pogba.
That would be so good, wouldn't it? That'd be so good.
There you go. That's our transfer business done this summer.
Sorted.
Hey, we're now in a stronger position than we were last season.
He spent much of last season out with a broken leg, but returned to March for the back end of the season. Honestly.
Are we getting trolled here? Is this have you sourced this properly?
Is this real, Ethan? Is it?
Hey, let me... Because...
Did someone pass you a note in a Wetherspoons that had all of this written on it?
Like, because this is...
A hooded man with a note. And you pull the hood down and it's Mike Ashley.
Everything about this doesn't make any sense.
Wesley Fofana isn't worth half of that. Right. The fact that he's got a broken leg lowers his price tag, surely. He's got 5 years left on his deal. Why would we want him? We're closely interested in him. And they need at least 80 million to get him. Move on. Absolute hogwash.
Who wrote this article? Was it his agent?
It was his agent, yeah.
Like, this is written by Wesley Fofana is the author of this one.
Mrs. Fofana.
Yeah, he was that guy from Southampton that was trying to push for his own transfer to United.
Was it Lamina?
Yeah, do you remember? And it was like this. And then it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy because all of a sudden I saw United fans going, actually,
he's good him.
And no one was speaking about him before he started pushing that himself. And then people go, yeah, he's the one we need. No one noticed him before. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this player who's been in a Premier League team all season, who you've never noticed and thought was good enough for United, in a team that's been mid-table, you suddenly think he's the answer to our midfield problems because he's saying he's going to come here.
I know.
It's mad. I mean, that would be, right, genuinely, and I mean this wholeheartedly, in my lifetime, that would be the craziest transfer move we've ever made.
80 million quid for Wesley Fofana.
Yeah, like there was never been a more ridiculous transfer by Manchester United. That is like a City fans in charge of United for the day, and he goes, right, 80 million quid on Fofana.
Who we getting?
That lad that broke his leg, he's on the contract till 5 years.
He's not that good.
Yeah, quick. And then it's like, what have we done with all our transfer money?
Yeah, Joel Glazer's dropped his credit card outside the Etihad, and we've got that to show for it.
And listen, I'm not having to dig it for Fofana.
No.
He's a fine player.
Yeah.
Is he what we need? No. Is he even, if he comes to United, it would be him and Phil Jones vying for that 6th place in the centre-back list.
Yeah.
Like, that would be crazy. And if that fee was around 8 million euros, I'd still be like, is it worth the either?
Yeah.
80 million? You may as well set fire to 80 million quid in the car park because you're wasting money on his contract. So no, I just don't think that's happening. In fact, I'm gonna stick my neck out here and say
Stick me knob
that. You stick my knob out.
Right, I'm going to stick my knob out here
and say, give me a vasectomy. No, that is not happening. That is definitely 100%. Clip this up. Not happening.
I can't wait.
No.
August the 31st, black and white footage of you saying that. Fake rain put over the top of it.
There's
Manchester
no
United
way
agree deal
on
for Wesley
God's earth
Fofana.
we buy Wesley Fofana this transfer window. We might buy him in 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, that could happen. But we're certainly not buying a guy with a broken leg who signed a deal to 2027 who's barely getting in Leicester's team. Like, it ain't happening.
No.
Do you know what I mean? For the same price that we spent on Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, for the same price that Liverpool bought Van Dijk. More than City are paying for Haaland.
It's like we think, if we spend the same amount of money as Liverpool spent on Van Dijk on a defender, we'll be as good as them.
Yeah, because it was the fee that held all the power, Jay.
Yeah.
The money is what held
So
the quality.
let's just go and get anyone.
Not the player.
Let's just get anyone for 80 million.
If you spend 80 million quid on just a bloke at the market, he'll be as good as an 80 million quid.
Do you know what, right? If this happens, genuinely,
Go on.
I'm being serious.
You'll grow the Dr. Phil.
No, I'll do that, right?
Okay, good luck.
And I'm cancelling my season ticket. And I'm not paying money if you're going to waste it on that. It's bad enough the Glazers milking his club. If you're just going to throw money away at average defenders, nah, man, I'm out. Seriously, I'm done. Like, I'm not even going to United anymore. If that's how we're going to do our transfer business, just throw 80 million quid on whoever. Like,
Everyone's 80
when
million
you said
quid
Wesley
there.
Fofana, I had to think. I know him. Where do I know him from?
Did you go to school with him?
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking, no, I know that name. It took me a minute to go, Leicester, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What? Like, and then I was expecting he's a free transfer.
Yeah,
not he's 80 million quid, got a broken leg, and his deal runs out in 5 years. What? Nah, come on. Seriously. Nothing would say, right? We've had me and you've done these videos. We've been chatting about how United have got this new era. John Murtagh, Eric Ten Hag. Do you know what I mean? There's a new structure. Nothing would undermine that in one fell swoop than buying Wesley Fofana for 80 million quid. Right? That's all gone. Right? Forget it. Do you know what I mean? Like, this new era's crumbled already. Seriously, I'm done with that story already.
Fantastic.
Hey, seriously. Right, let's move on to something a little bit more realistic, and that's Marcus Rashford staying at Manchester United Football Club. Talk to me about this one, my brother.
Well, apparently, Spurs have come after Marcus Rashford. Now, that doesn't sound that far-fetched to me. Like, he's someone that's not had a good season at United. He's been, by far his worst season at United so far, which is off the back of his best 2 ever seasons for United. His form has been awful. Has been, basically, replaced in the squad by Anthony Elanga, who before the season was barely a known name at Manchester United. It makes sense that other teams think we can get the potential out of him that we have seen in the past at United. Let's go for him. However, it looks like he isn't going to join Tottenham, or he's got no interest in leaving Man United. He's going to stay. But it's worth keeping an eye on, because I think there were reports a couple of seasons ago, weren't there, that Barcelona tried to come in for him and that was rejected. Tottenham were coming in for him, that's being rejected. I think it's good that he's staying, but this, seems possible that they would want him, but he ain't going anywhere, is he?
No, he isn't. And I think the thing with Rashford is, I still think there's the player that this season I think Steve said it's not even a full season. It might even be 6 months, and I think Steve's right. It might be like till January.
Yeah.
You've got to show us something, because he was so poor last season.
Yeah, he was.
At the end of last season, and I like Marcus, and I had a knot in my stomach when he was playing because he was that
I was
bad.
like nervous for him.
Yeah, I was nervous for him, especially at Old Trafford when the crowd were getting on his back. You want to see him do well. You want to see him get back to his best. He was a very productive player for 2 solid seasons, but he's got to do it sooner rather than later, because I don't think we can have another few months like we just had.
No.
And I think Steve's right when he said this. I think if we get to Christmas and we see, the next sort of 4 or 5 months or 6 months, whatever, or like the last 6 months, I think that in January, Eric Ten Hag might just say to him, listen, you're done here. Do you know what I mean? And he might have to go somewhere else. I'm not saying that's going to happen, though. I still believe we can get something out of Marcus Rashford. And I think Eric Ten Hag may well be the man to do it, So I'm glad that he is ready to stay and fight, because there was some rumours, weren't there, that he was going to move on. I think him and Ralph Rangnick had a very bad relationship. I think there was a little bit of a frustration there, and probably a little bit upset that Anthony Elanga got above him in the pecking order. But I say this about David De Gea with Dean Henderson. If David De Gea plays to his best of abilities, Dean Henderson wouldn't have got a look in a couple of years ago.
Yep.
If Marcus Rashford plays as well as he can, Anthony Elanga doesn't get in the team. No. He doesn't get in that left-hand side position, which is Marcus's preferred position, over Marcus. But Marcus was that bad, and also Anthony Elanga had obviously done well as a youngster, that he got in there. So, listen, Marcus has got another year left on his deal. We know what he's capable of. We've just got to see it, man. We've got to see it, because it was only like, 18 months ago, a year ago, whatever, the whole country was praising him for what he was doing off the pitch.
Yep.
We know what he's capable of on the pitch. We just need to see it.
Yeah.
And I hope we do, because there's a lot to like about Marcus Rashford.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to add on that?
No, I haven't given up hope on Rashford. I think he's shown enough that we should stick by him, and he's still young enough to improve and to get better. So, yeah, hopefully.
Do you think there has been an element of, because me and you get a lot of stick for sticking up for him.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. People just sort of think, he's done, why do you stick up for him? But it's weird, because I think that...
One bad season.
Yeah, it's not...
You're allowed one bad season. Come on. Most great players have at least one bad season in them. He's had a bad season. Let's see how he recovers next year. He consistently improved as a United player from when he came in to last season. Maybe I know some of last season was sort of injury riddled, but numbers-wise was as good as he's ever been.
Yeah.
And now he's had a shocker, and an absolute shocker. But I give players more than one season in terms of a chance to turn it around. Come on, you're allowed a bad year, but you've got to start turning it around soon, because otherwise it's hard to come back from. But I think that's the case with a lot of United players like Maguire. Bad season. I'll give you one bad season. You need to come back next season. You need to show me more. It's the players who have had 2, 3, 4 bad years where you go, this isn't good enough. Marcus Rashford, he has this absolute stinker. I'm not getting rid of him because of that. If it's up to me, he'd be there next season, no question. It's
mad, because you mention it there, and Eric Ten Hag's probably realised he's got to get a tune out of some of these players, because he hasn't got the budget that he needs. He can't, there was talk, I think Ralph Rangnick said, you need like 10 players or whatever.
Yeah.
We're probably going to get about 3,
yeah,
maybe 4 in this transfer window. So you need to get a tune out of some of them. There's talk that he's going to give Donny van der Beek another chance. Luke Shaw apparently is quite popular amongst a lot of the coaching staff or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a player there. We know what Harry Maguire's capable of. We know what Marcus Rashford's capable of. They've both had poor seasons. They need to step up. Right back again, his reports are that he feels he can work with Diogo Dalot. We'll have to see what happens there, because I think there's, certainly we need him to step his game up a bit. Yeah. So there's players there where you go, okay, if, and it's a big if, Eric Ten Hag can get some out of these players, then that's going to solve a massive headache for him, because we haven't got a budget to go berserk in the transfer window. No. We're not Real Madrid. No. We ain't going to go out and buy 2 or 3 new attackers and 4 defenders and 3 midfielders. It ain't going to happen. Listen, thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments and all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Check out the video as well that Joe was talking about there. There's the one with you Baggers where you looked at the contract situation. It's pretty evergreen. It's an eye-opener if you've not had a look at it.
It goes into some of the details and some of the sort of standout shockers of the last decade in terms of who we're giving contracts to, when we're giving them out. It's honestly, some of them are just unbelievable. So check it out again. Not blaming the players. It's the way that Woodward and Judge have dealt with things over the last decade is stunning, really. So check that out. And also our tactics video. Me and Steve going through how Ten Hag plays, how that's going to work at Man United, using examples, going through the screen, really good stuff, so check that out as well.
Yeah, I love that video. Make sure you're checking out that. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel as well. Go and check out as well Sloppy Joe's, have you got a new podcast out?
Sloppy Joe's podcast, new episode out yesterday. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Ethan turns. You've never seen anything like it.
What do you mean, Ethan?
Producer Ethan has lost it.
Has he? Right. Yeah. Make sure you check out...
Flying.
Scotty and Motty as well. Put a link in the chat there for Scotty and Motty. Ethan, have you got a link to Sloppy Joe's? Stick it in the chat for us, please, bro. So check that out. I'm going to be back in the morning with the news. We're going to do it live here from the studio. So get involved in the comments in the chat. Things are kind of developing a little bit here now. I feel like there's movement on the Nunez thing.
Yeah.
There's movement on De Jong. There's a little bit of, there's more or less rumours on other players like Nkunku and 1 or 2 others as well. So we will try and keep updated on that. And if we hear anything, as always, we do go live constantly. So make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of, not by the end of
next season.
By the end of next season. Yeah. I think we can do that. easily with your support, and we do appreciate it. Go and check Sloppy Joe's out and Joe Smith out. Go and check Scotty and Motty out. I've been Jay, that's been Joe. This has been the Paddock Live. Thanks for watching.